awesome date. Halloween 2011. Awesome topic. GMX. This is the OSMcast.
Blah.
Oh, shut up, Basil.
Talk like that during the entire day?
No.
That'd be awesome.
We don't need to talk like that.
I'm going to talk like the count the whole time. One podcast topic.
Hey, folks, and welcome back to the OSMcast. I'm Basil.
I'm Douglas.
And with us are gigantic compadres of compadriness, the Chainsaw Buffet Podcast.
You called us fat.
No.
We are fat. Sorry, Charlie.
But they're awesome, and I like them.
Oh, what the heck, I'll do it.
And we have Barry.
Yay! He's the best.
He's the berriest berry of all Berrytown.
He's very special.
Oh.
Damn right.
I've been holding on to that one.
Barry's also been in a wheelchair for this con, so he can give us a perspective from that. Go.
Wasn't the only one either.
As a bionic man.
I really wanted to make a horrible comment that was also related to Halloween. You know,
Go ahead.
Tales from the Crypt Keeper.
Oh.
Tales of Vesperia?
Oh, no, sad friends.
See, yeah. Well, you're like, oh, go ahead.
Too
I
soon.
even told you it was going to be horrible. Everybody's like,
okay,
oh.
if you say I have something to say,
Look, you said Tales of, my mind instantly went to Vesperia. That's just where it goes.
And Barry, I love you, man. It's not meant in hate.
Okay.
It's not meant in hate.
I am a lightning rod of comedy.
It's fact.
The topic of conversation is the Geek Media Expo, which is, well, it's currently happening, but it already happened by the time you're listening to this, which is in Nashville, Tennessee. It's by the guys who run MTAC. It is referred to as GMX 48 Hours of Cool, and it's much more their general meet of geeks and geek stuff. Think of it like a smaller scale Dragon Con. But...
And by smaller scale, you mean significantly smaller scale. This is a much smaller convention, which is not necessarily to its detriment. I've actually had a great time having a smaller convention.
Like centimeters to nanometers.
That's a great analogy. I mean, that makes it so much clearer now.
Yeah. Way to contribute.
I'm healthy.
Yay for us.
So, we got here on Saturday, but did any of y'all get here on Friday?
Very late Friday.
Dylan was here early on Friday.
Okay, so did you do anything cool on Friday?
not really. Well, I got registered.
He got tested.
He got tested. He
You did get tested.
I did get tested, but that happened Tuesday through Thursday.
They were very important tests.
They were very important tests.
Unfortunately, he came back with a clean bill of health. So that herpes scare.
Well, that's good.
No, it had nothing to do with that. It actually, I am helping the future of medical research.
Really have.
Solving herpes every day.
What's the weather like up there on your high horse, Dylan?
It's great. No, I'm not gonna get into
John, you leave him alone.
So I went to the Follow Friday panel that Nico and I think Jonathan Wright. I don't think I follow him on Twitter. I don't think I've met him before. Did. So.
Are you following him now on Twitter?
I am following both of them on Twitter.
Well, then there was a successful panel.
It was.
Tell us about it.
it was kind of... They kind of generally went over the difference between the different social networks. The real goal was they wanted to provide... They wanted to talk about how people do follow Friday poorly on Twitter. If you've seen a lot of people, just dump out a whole list of names, and they kind of gave guidelines and suggested some accounts to follow, so it was pretty good. It was funny because we were stuck up on the second floor.
You're stuck up on every floor, Dylan.
Well, one of the things about this convention is that everyone's always stuck on whatever floor they're on for a little bit.
Yeah, that's kind of something that's interesting about this convention is that most of the panels were actually being held on the second floor, but most of the main events were on the first floor, and there is a stairwell, but it's not really in a convenient place to get to. It's not really easy travel, so
That wheelchair didn't help.
yeah, the elevator use is almost mandatory, and I guess it wouldn't have worked as a large convention, but as a small convention it did work, that people were going from floor to floor.
Pro tip for those of you listening, service elevators.
Yeah.
Nobody ever goes on them because you're probably not supposed to.
But they
But,
won't say anything to you if you do.
Yeah,
Well-
I got on one with one of the hotel staff and they didn't say shit.
I think it depends on the staff member you talk to.
Sure.
Because I know other staff members who had to shoot people off the service elevator. So I think it really depends on which staff member at what point and how congestion it is.
Yeah,
Because I think that the service elevator is really supposed to be made use for
by the hotel
Service.
staff.
wholesale, service, and I think also the con staff to make sure they can get where they need to go if they have to get somewhere soon.
Well, also think about it. If somebody has an emergency, that service elevator is where they need to.
Go.
Yeah.
So never mind. Wait.
Don't use the
wait,
service elevator.
Wait like a schmuck. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to use the service elevator.
Actually-
Wink.
Let's apply an ethical principle to con going. Whenever you're about to take an action, think, what would I think if a bunch of annoying giggling teenagers did this? If it is still acceptable, then the action is ethical.
Well,
That's a very good
because-
analogy. That's not only a good analogy for a con. That's a good analogy for life.
I think that's actually
That's the basis of a whole new philosophical school, I think.
No, I think that's like Kant or whatever. I don't.
See you next Tuesday.
So did you do anything else on Friday, or was it pretty much just following Fridays?
We went to Geek Stew.
That was
And
actually
That was
pretty
interesting.
until the TV started messing up.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's
And
Geek
then it
Stew?
got. It's basically they show a bunch of web videos,
Oh.
and it was really good until the TV started messing up. And does someone want to talk about what happened? I don't.
Then they broke out the condoms and the banana.
I got hit in the face with a package of condoms.
No.
And you got hit in the face with a banana.
No.
I won't say by who.
They did the demonstration that apparently you're supposed to do when you get sex ed in school. And
Did
then
they then
decided
proceed to eat the banana?
no, but
She
they
said she would later.
blew the condom up like a balloon and started hitting it around like a beach ball.
I
I had
have
to
never
touch it.
received that method of sex education where they have put the condom on the banana.
I haven't either.
I've only seen it in movies.
Yeah.
That is.
I
No.
thought I just had missed something. when I
No,
was-
nobody actually
Apparently
does that.
only exists in TV land.
I always thought the condom was pretty self-explanatory.
No, apparently not.
I mean, it only really goes on one way. I mean, I read the instructions while I was at the party.
Well, my sex ed teacher brought me into a closet, and then, like 30 seconds later, we walked out, and I was crying. And
It could have been any scares in the service elevator.
It's okay. We accept you for the way you are. We accept you.
Accept and like are two different things.
So for Saturday,
yes.
did y'all do Saturday morning cartoons or Drow Dark Elven costumes?
Yes,
Both.
yes,
Both.
we did.
Yes, I now want to cosplay a drow. That was fantastic.
We have an excellent idea because
I can't say it.
I love Drow
It's a
more than
surprise.
life itself.
It's not
But
going to happen.
But Dylan came up with an excellent idea of how I, a overweight American, can cosplay a Drow in a non-traditional manner, and
I
I'm
like the
looking
new
forward to
politically
it.
correct term, overweight American.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
saying
it's more like a redundant term as opposed to
Oh.
I still use it as fat.
I'm just an American. I am super American. I am the most American person here.
He
I
is.
am morbidly American.
I don't think you're too plain
I
for
look
American.
at him
though.
and I think pure American. He's got the blonde hair, blue eyes, the high cheekbones,
I am
and the
part of-
well-rounded figure.
I am part of the master race of Americans.
Wow.
I'm not saying that I am the solution, or perhaps the final end of anything, but
Wow.
I'm not sure why you still bring us back on this podcast, because you know we're gonna say stuff like this.
I think that's why he brings us back on the
Okay.
To remind his listeners that it could be worse.
You could be listening to Chainsaw Buffet on chainsawbuffet.com, or following them on
No,
Twitter
stop
at
it.
Chainsaw
No.
Buffet, or on Facebook
No.
at facebook.com/Chainsaw Buffet,
No.
or emailing us at podcast@chainsawbuffet.com.
No, nobody emails us. No.
Nice plug
Motherfuckers.
there.
But the drow was a very
was a good panel, yeah.
panel.
I caught the last half because I was at
Yeah,
Saturday
tell
morning
me about
cartoons.
that. I missed that. Tell me about it.
It was fantastic. She actually brought in the model already made up, except for the highlighting. She showed us how to do that. But she had a tutorial, a
High-speed
high-speed video.
Uh-huh.
It was absolutely fantastic.
Where at one point he
Wow.
looked like a pointy-eared Two-Face.
Yeah, it was great. She had some of the tools up there. She would answer any question you had. It was... Yeah.
Well, what's the big difference between cosplaying a drow and cosplaying just a normal elf?
Makeup.
Black body paint.
Lots.
Interesting.
Of
Either dark gray,
the only socially
slate,
acceptable
black.
blackface.
Yes.
That
That's what
is
we
the whole
decided. If you add
difference.
pointy ears to blackface, it is socially acceptable.
Because they started talking about, like, you could do modern fantasy drow. It's like, at that point, you're treading very close.
Because somebody mentioned doing like thug drow.
Yeah,
It sounded like a neat idea.
Oh yeah, it was the host.
Yeah, she mentioned it. And then we started making jokes about the old Bing Crosby movie Holiday Inn. Go check that one out.
No.
I don't think it's on Netflix because it's super racist.
We did a
I mean,
podcast.
super racist.
Wait, what's this?
It's an old Bing Crosby movie. We did a podcast about it. It's called Holiday Inn. Just to sort of hit the highlights here. They open an inn that's only open on holidays because Bing Crosby is a lazy motherfucker. And they do different little song and dance routines for each of the holidays. And, of course, this was back in the day when Lincoln's birthday and Washington's birthday were celebrated as separate holidays
Instead of President's Day, it was all...
So for Lincoln's birthday... There's a whole side story that
I'm already
goes
putting
all
my
that goes on
forehead
behind
in
it.
my palms.
But
I haven't even
you just
heard
know
it,
where
and
it's
I'm
going.
already...
They do a routine singing about Abraham Lincoln in blackface.
This is the movie where White Christmas comes from.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Wherever you hear the movie, the song White Christmas, wherever you request that on your Christmas
y'all
radio
ever
station
heard-
of choice, you're supporting blackface movies.
Have y'all ever heard the Alabama version of White Christmas?
No, but it's from Alabama, so I know two things about Alabama. There's not shit in it until you get the hammock on, because it's all fucking brown and hot and boring, and you'll die out there because there's no gas stations between Tennessee and fucking Hammock on.
That's true.
And
That was very
there's
true.
and
That's true.
there's some awesome people there, and then there's everybody else.
Well,
That
I'm
lives
going
in
to sing
Alabama.
for you the Alabama version of I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas.
Please do.
I'm dreaming of a 60-degree Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the children glisten and treetops listen to hear the sound of snow that will never ever come.
That was so sad.
I thought it was going to be.
I was about to say, I thought it was some sort of like white supremacist Christmas is what I was expecting.
Just actually a reference to how goddamn hot it is.
Oh,
No.
So how was Saturday morning cartoons?
Lots of technical difficulties. Apparently, because I got there a little bit late, and in the first 25 minutes, there was an issue with audio. So and Nico couldn't get any of the technical team to show up, and they ran out of cereal. By the time I got there, they were already out of cereal.
I was going to see how the cereal was, but oh man.
It was non-existent.
It was not. But once they got it working, they actually showed some pretty good stuff. The Sonic the Hedgehog that wasn't horrible.
Only the first season of it wasn't horrible. The second season was gone.
Man, whatever. Chili dogs for life.
Chili dogs for life. It's a short life, but it's a good one. And they showed a Halloween episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, an episode of the 90s X-Men cartoon where Wolverine reminisces about fighting in World War II as a member of the OSS with Captain America. And
fuck yeah!
And then I left it to hit up the Drow thing right as they were starting to show Voltron.
Well, that sounds like it was pretty fun.
Except for
the cereal, yeah, and the audio difficulties. I think it would have been pretty cool.
They were all after me, Lucky Charms.
Well, maybe it's a sort of situation where this year they had a lot of technical difficulties, but if you come back next year, it'll be even awesome because they'll have worked through those technical difficulties.
But bring your own cereal. BYOC.
Well, that's still probably a smart idea.
Yeah.
But even still, I bet you they just weren't expecting the turnout that they got for it.
I had, it's one of those things where I had the same feeling that next year will probably be a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
So what did y'all do next?
I believe
the way the schedule was
that was when we started doing our panel.
Well, the way the schedule's been staggered and the few things that we had to do outside of the panels meant that I don't know about anybody else, but I kept catching like 10 to 30 minutes of a lot of different panels. Because I caught like a few minutes of the art auction, a few minutes of the Orion Slave Girl auction, a few minutes of the Doctor Who The Story So Far panel. The only panel early on that I actually made the whole thing for was our own panel.
All right, well, out of those chunks, what was the best chunk you were at? You did?
The panel that we did.
No. Out of the little chunks.
Oh, screw you, man.
Which is the best little chunk? Then we're going to get to your panel. Don't worry, you get to plug again. Chainsupofate.com, whatever.
I don't know, man. The Drow one was really cool. The Drow, I have to say. Although the Orion Slave Girl auction, if I could have made the entire
about that. I was real interested in that, hearing about people talking about it after the fact.
It was essentially sort of a bachelorette auction kind of thing. Like they had, like they auctioned off guests first that either like, one of them you got a signed picture and got to have a drink with them. Mm-hmm. There was one person you got to have dinner with. Mm-hmm. There was Patricia Albrecht, I think it was. That you got an hour creative writing sort of...
Wow.
Not really, more of a workshop than a lesson. Or a... Oh, shoot, there was one...
Poetry discussion or something?
Poetry 1 hour like poetry discussion or creative writing workshop. And then
that's really interesting.
It was kind of cool. I really wish I could have seen...
What's that?
She only went for $15.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I would have gone more.
It was... that was kind of sad.
I would put that in the hundreds, not 15.
Yeah.
So
more people need to go to that.
Yeah.
I blame that on that happening so early in the day, actually.
Yeah.
Well, we were there, and who was there's some woman later on that...
Oh, she went for nearly 200. She was a Playboy model.
Yeah.
And she shipped her stuff on.
Way to totally dishonor. Go for it.
I didn't dishonor. I said, she went for 200.
No, that was not the voice you used. So that's fun that you have that kind of denial. Wow.
Well, still, like you would have thought the writer would have gone for a lot more, but.
Well, unfortunately, sometimes geeks are not the smartest thing in the world. We'll get to that one later. But first, reading books that might make you make smarter smart.
I disagree with that statement.
Panel.
Actually, we should change the name to that. I actually like that a lot
reading
better.
Books that will make you smarter.
Smarter? Smart? No.
Panel not actually guaranteed to make you smarter.
That's a long title. They may actually reject it.
Was this the panel that you guys did?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about it.
Well, it was me talking about the one book, and then Charlie and Dylan talking about a lot of other books.
Yeah, I mean...
And me name dropping. Not that I would ever do that at every opportunity.
Never. You would never do that.
Not that I would ever do that. .com, you mean?
I bet someone owns that.
I bet they do. I actually thought, like, maybe I should not say this because someone will actually try to go there.
So what is the name of the panel, and what's it about?
Nonfiction for Geeks. It's kind of evolved from the fact that Charlie and I tend to read books and then talk about them to each other and recommend them to each other. So we're just like, why
sometimes
don't we take
in the
that?
bathtub with a glass of wine.
It's hard to get us both into the bathtub, but...
Why do you do this to me?
Again, we're morbidly American.
Why?
But basically, it was just, we did that, except, in front of a bunch of people with a whole stack of books.
Oh my god, you're just like fulfilling my fantasies further and further.
I should not use...
You have the weirdest fantasies.
I should not use words like that without defining what they mean. Okay, so we just talked about books in front of a bunch of people. Actually, if you missed it, we recorded it and hope to have that up on YouTube.
So by the time that you see it, you can check out our YouTube page, which is chainsawbuffet.com, and the .com is spelled out DOTCOM.
Okay.
Is there a link you can get from like another website?
Or maybe from our website?
Or perhaps that Basil can provide you when this podcast airs.
That's funny. I still need to post that list for the Getting Anime Group back from Native Way. I still haven't done it.
This
God,
is
so lazy.
that on the video the sound of the arcade room on the other side of the wall doesn't drown it out.
You might hear us talking about books. You might hear Mortal Kombat.
It's a 50-50.
It'll become indistinguishable from any other video that we've done.
You will enjoy watching us hold up books.
Watching me name drop.
But yeah, so that was cool. It went really well.
Yes,
better
it did.
than I expected.
Now, I know that y'all then, at some point after that, you got to get a chat with Lucas in.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
We did interview Lucas.
The con chair.
The head of GMX and MTech himself. Although this was not our first interview with him.
But this is the first interview since they actually started holding GMX.
Yeah,
the last time we interviewed him was actually the AWA before the first GMX. So a couple weeks before the first one.
Hey, I have a question as somebody who doesn't know much about GMX. How long has GMX actually been running?
This is the third year.
This is the third year?
This is volume 3.
Well, this is a very fun convention for its third year.
Well, I guess it's because the staff has just so much experience with doing MTech for so many years.
And it came a long way from last year. Last year was a much smaller convention. You could literally walk around and see everything in 5 minutes.
I think part of that was the hotel layout.
Yeah.
It was kind of...
But there weren't nearly as many people either.
Yeah.
I mean, they did a tremendous job of really stepping their game up this year.
This has been a really fun convention for a third year convention. But go on, as you were saying.
About what?
Well, basically we talked with Lucas about mostly just the transition from year 2 to year 3, where GMX might be in its third year, but collectively, as far as the crew that runs GMX, this is not their first, second, or third rodeo doing a convention since they run MTech. So,
and it's always cool to talk to Lucas.
Yes, it really is,
because you get a lot of the behind the scenes kind of info of what they're thinking when they put these things on, and it's insightful. And really, we talked to him a lot about where GMX and MTech is going and where they as an organization are heading. And I encourage you guys to give it a listen if you go to GMX and MTech, with any sort of regularity, because it is a fascinating listen to hear him talk about what's in the future. Yeah.
And where could one find this recording?
It would be that same place I mentioned, chainsawbuffet.com. Chainsawbuffet.com. Chainsawbuffet.com.
Hopefully we'll have it up before this airs.
Now, did y'all do anything before Charlie hit up the T panel, or?
What time was that?
4.
I think we kind of wandered around, went to the dealer's room, went to the pavilion.
steampunk.
One of the things that I found really nice about this convention was how friendly just so many of the staff, and that in turn reflected the con goers, how willing they were to set up, just talk to you, because actually I didn't have much to do until my panel, and so I kind of just sat down in the courtyard and did knitting, and I had many people come up and just talk to me, and it was just really fun just to talk to people, and that's one thing that this convention really had going for it, is that there were a lot of really nice people here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that could be done because it's a smaller convention.
Yeah.
The guy who looked like he should have been head of security but wasn't.
Because the stuff like, AWA and even MTAC, it's so filled with people that everyone is always just scurrying, going from place to place.
Yeah.
I think it's been really interesting to actually see what happens with MTAC now that they're going to a new location. That's a much, much bigger location than what they're at previously, and see what effect that has on it.
I believe Lucas said that you could drop all of MTAC space-wise in the dealer's room for MTAC 2012.
Wow.
Yeah.
So so I wonder if, just the size of the convention space will, sort of artificially reduce the feel of the convention.
I hope
At least
not.
the
That's
size.
obviously, you can't deny that that's a real possibility, but I hope not. Because, they are, the management of MTAC have always been very upfront about their philosophy behind the convention, being about the fans and being very responsive to the fans.
MTAC is a great convention.
Yeah, and I'm kind of hoping if they're, and I do think they are very serious about that philosophy. I kind of hope that what that translates into, and kind of think what that will translate into, is no matter how big they get, they won't feel as distant as AWA does or DragonCon does.
Well, no, I meant the reverse. Like if the size of the area is so big, but the amount of people in it is going to seem like a smaller amount.
Oh, I got
compared to being overcrowded in the previous
That's
space.
not a bad thing.
Yeah,
and so you might be able to get more of a homey feel out of it.
I see what you're saying.
By the increase of space, and depending on how many more people show up to the convention.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's going to change. I think that those dynamics are going to change, for good or for ill. I don't know, but I think they're going to change.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll be for good, because, like I said before, MTAC every time I have gone has been a really good convention. It's been a really at the heart of anime fandom convention.
And I really think every year it's gotten better. Like somehow they've managed. Like the first year I went, which was 2006, was good, and it. I don't know how they do it, but they keep managing to make it a better experience.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that GMX exists. Because what you see a lot of anime conventions do is they start to, in order to try to keep a hold of that fan base, because a lot of anime fans don't watch that much anime anymore, but they like to go to anime cons, is they'll start, force feeding not so anime panels into the anime con. And I think what MTech, Lewis did was very smart. Like, right, fine. You know what? A lot of us are really other stuff that's not anime. Let's make a convention about that.
Yeah.
And so, especially you notice, MTech, a couple of years ago, you notice that a lot of, then the year after that, there was a lot of not so anime content and MTech. That said, once GMX showed up, a lot of that went away. And ended up showing up at GMX, and then there was a lot more anime content at MTAC. And so I think by allowing themselves to divide their interests between the two types of conventions, they'll be able to keep the more of an anime con feel into GMX, into MTAC. Although it's got its own issues, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with all the music stuff they've been doing. But I think this upcoming MTAC is going to be a teller to see how. Last year it was a music theme, and so that was a reason why there's so much music and bands and stuff. And who knows what's going to happen this year? I'm sure that there'll still be a music focus, but I don't know if it's going to be as intense a focus.
Actually, we do know the answer to that somewhat because we, hey, name dropping, we did an interview with Holly Ray, who's the vice president of MTAC at AWA, and what she said was, of course, MTAC is Nashville's anime convention, so they're always going to have music there. It's always going to be an important thing to have there. So they'll always have like the Slants and whoever else. But they said last year they went overboard, because it was a music theme and that was what they were doing, and it was Nashville. But this year, they said you can't expect to see more voice actors because that was a big complaint last year. Although obviously music theme, so. They're going to respond to that, and they said you can expect to see some people that you haven't seen there in a while.
Which is good, because I have heard a lot of people complain about, and a lot of people think that because of the music theme, and I've had to explain to them that it was a theme, that's the reason why there was so much music, that they felt that MTAC was just becoming a music convention and not an anime convention.
No, it was a music theme, it's just...
And Aaron tried to burn down the hotel, which is amazing.
Well... what we realize is that, the trick is, and y'all don't realize y'all live in Tennessee, but, I like to point out that pretty soon after MTAC, we had all those tornadoes in Alabama, and we lost power for a week.
Yeah.
Obviously, MTAC went to 11 so much that we lost our power. Thanks a lot, guys. I'm just saying.
You guys don't understand. I went to MTAC, and I bought the I Survived FloodCon umbrella. And then I went and used the FloodCon umbrella right before the storms hit, and it broke that umbrella.
Wow.
And the tornadoes hit. And so it was like, geez, I just brought them down with me.
And of course, the theme for 2012 is the apocalypse. So.
Yes.
Yeah, so...
so that'll be fun.
We're going to see how that goes. So anyways, back to GMX. How about some tea?
Actually... I want to hear from Charlie. I did the tea panel this year, as I am a tea otaku. I am completely obsessed with tea, and I relish the chance to talk about it at every opportunity that any convention is foolish enough to give me to talk about it. But Charlie actually attended my panel, so I want to hear from him how he thought it went.
Would it be Otiku? Titaku? www.otiku.com.
Well,
I want to go get that.
That sounds like way too close to Oteku, which I think was the Georgia Tech's anime club, which eventually formed MomoCon. So, anyways, the panel.
It was very good.
Well,
I liked it a lot. It was the best thing ever. It was really good. Covered a lot of material. But I learned a good bit that I didn't know, and it was actually there was a really good was it PowerPoint presentation?
It was. It was originally designed in PowerPoint, but then I handed it off to Basil to translate into
OpenOffice.
Yeah, OpenOffice.
But I thought we were, and I thought there was a really good turnout for it as well.
Yeah,
especially on the second floor with the schedule change.
Yeah, it was originally scheduled for Sunday at 1 p.m., and I have to be at Huntsville for something else at 1 p.m. on Sunday. So I would have had to have canceled the convention. I would have had to cancel my panel, except they were able, somebody else had canceled their panel, so they were able to work me into where the other cancellation was. But that update did not get printed out onto the schedule that everybody was handed. It was only handwritten on a few of the schedules that were posted around the halls. So for being an unlabeled panel, it had a pretty good turnout, but personally, having done this tea panel before, I've never done it on the British side of things. I've always focused more on the Japanese side of how tea evolved in the Japanese culture, but this time I really focused on how it evolved in the British culture, and I'd never done that before, and I actually did feel as though I kind of petered out towards the end, because I had less people there in the audience who were as tea fanatical as I was, so there were less questions to answer about the chemistry of tea, about the etiquette of tea, and so on.
And I didn't. The only reason I even knew it was happening was because I caught the last 2 minutes of the Doctor Who panel, and it was either as people were leaving it or standing right outside it when I was looking over the schedule outside the room. I overheard someone saying, "Oh yeah, there's some tea panel, right?" And that's when I did. That was one of the ones where they corrected it. That had scratched out the one panel and put the name of yours. Otherwise, I would have known about it. So I kind of looked out.
And directly after that,
Oh yeah,
was the latest in the escapades of Brony panels,
which we may or may not have been at.
Says the guy with the My Little Pony T-shirt.
That is your interpretation.
MLP.
An MLP
And a pony.
With a silhouette of a pony on it.
So
That's
you can
my
see-
interpretation.
You can see a lot of things in that.
Well,
it's like
I
cloud
am not-
watching.
I am not bashful at all in saying that I am totally a brony. And I was there. Unfortunately,
So was one other girl.
yeah.
She's a study herself.
now.
Wait, say that again.
She's a study all of her own.
Now, if you recall in this year's previous MTech podcast, I'm pretty sure Kevin mentioned during the Toku panel, there is this one really annoying girl. Well, guess what? She's also into ponies.
Oh, it's the same person.
Well, we're pretty sure it's the same person.
Interesting.
First off, talk about the panel itself.
Well, my impression, I started off by saying I was a brony, but I might have been exaggerating a little bit. I really like the cartoon My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. But to be perfectly honest, I actually came into it independently of the whole 4chan thing. And so I really just appreciate it just the same way I appreciate a lot of kids' cartoons. Like, I'm a real big fan of several kids' cartoons. And My Little Ponies is one of them because it's just really amazing. It's just really an outstanding work. But I'm not really in on all of like the fan created works that go along with it. And so the panel, when they were talking about it, they started by talking out. The panelists who are actually running the panel started by talking about the actual origins of the show and the basis of the show. And when they were talking about that, I was really interested. But then they started veering into all the fan-created works, which I wasn't so interested in. But somebody who is a brony, who was introduced to it from the 4chan perspective, might have had a lot of interest in that.
It reminded me a lot of the AWA panel that we're going to drop some more names. Gerald and Calissa from AWA and Neil Nadelman, King of All Bronies, ran.
Yeah.
Where at the end of it was, Neil Nadelman, donned upon his almighty, I think, Rainbow Dash hoodie and spread his wings out all for the herd to fly with. But I've seen pictures to prove it.
I love Neil Nadelman.
He's an amazing man, and we'll never let him live it down. Where they did start off focusing on the why is this show interesting. These are the neat things that it does that we weren't expecting out of a show about My Little Pony.
It does a lot. Like, there's really a lot of credit to it. If you haven't watched it yet, you should really watch it just based on its own merits.
But do not pay any attention to the fandom if you can possibly help it.
And the trick is that the big issue I had, that they really couldn't help in a way, was that a good chunk of that crowd were all bat ponies. Mm-hmm. And they were constantly raising their hand and calling out stuff and interrupting them while they were talking. In this panel, all those people, all those dozens of people, all were formed into this one gestalt entity that was this girl.
Love the fact that you broke out Gestalt in the middle of the podcast.
Let's just call her the panel killer.
She had actually come into my panel about halfway through, still wearing the pink helmet that I guess was supposed to represent,
I kind of think she was doing a cross between Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and My Little Pony.
It was a Pinkie Pie Ranger outfit.
Yeah, it was a Pinkie Pie Ranger outfit. She came into my tea panel, and when she was in my tea panel, she was actually asking, relevant, interesting questions that gave me an opportunity to elaborate to the larger audience things. But the truth was that she had actually just come into my panel so that she could get herself a good seat for the My Little Pony panel.
She said as much.
Yeah. She said that, and
wow.
And she did not let those panelists get a word in edgewise.
Yeah, she stepped on them like 8 times. They were about to. Someone asked them a question, and they started giving an answer, and then she just shot back with, "This is how I feel about that."
In the back of,
and Kamen Rider isn't a robot mecha show.
After I was done with my tea panel, I went to the back of the room and I sat down and took a seat, along with another girl who had been sitting in during my tea panel because she was interested in both topics. And as we sat together, at one point, this girl who was sitting up at the front with the Pinkie Pie Power Ranger costume, confessed that she had already eaten 6 cupcakes. So the two of us, me and this other girl, were counting down how many cupcakes she had waiting for the 6th one to hit. That was this sugar rush was obviously the last thing this girl needed.
God, that's still the statements she made, and normally I wouldn't do this, but this girl is the embodiment of all that is wrong in anime fandom.
I like how we've totally identified her by her costume.
No. Here's the thing.
You can find her.
Here's the thing.
We're not saying at the panel. She confessed her screen name for what's the website called?
I think it was Pony-chan or whatever.
I fear we have gone too far.
Well,
Let us not name
the
them.
point is that we're not going to say her screen name, but she freely confessed it
Here's the thing. If you are that guy in any way, shape, or form, you probably do not know that you are that guy, or you wouldn't be that guy. This person is so far gone that we could describe her in excruciating detail and everything she did, and she would think it was somebody else doing that if she were to listen to this.
Well, the worst part is that, when the
there was another person in a Pinkie Pie Power Ranger outfit? That's weird. I wonder why I didn't see her.
It wasn't Pinkie Pie. It was Rainbow Dash. I just made it pink.
Well, the worst... Okay, at the beginning of the panel, the two guys who are actually running the panel, they brought along a lot of cupcakes to have for the people who are attending their panel to enjoy, because cupcakes are important to My Little Pony fandom for various reasons that I will not go into.
They were good cupcakes too, though.
Yeah, but they were very good cupcakes. When they announced that they had cupcakes for everybody who was in the panel, she went up and grabbed herself an entire package. I think
it was a dozen.
The ratio of cake to people.
and she sat there. And it's not a bad thing that she took all those cupcakes. The problem is actually that I came to the conclusion that she was under the impression that she thought that was cute.
I can see that actually.
She thought that was cute and that she was acting in a cute way. Ooh, I want cupcakes. I want to take a whole thing, not the overindulgence of it.
And I have just about every panel, 99% of panels have that guy.
Yeah.
It is an immutable law of the universe.
And it's usually me.
And sometimes it's a mild that guy.
Well, some are worse than
guys,
others. Some are worse than others. This is the first time that I've ever seen that guy that was completely bulldozing the actual panelists. I mean, some of them have very loud voices. That guy is very good at projecting, generally. But I've never seen one just completely bulldoze over a panelist as they are trying to talk.
I think someone needs to be that guy.
Is she small enough to pick up and carry?
Yeah.
If she shows up to our panel tomorrow, I'm picking her ass up and carrying her out and dumping her out.
I don't think
door.
she will.
She cares not for podcasting or XNA.
No.
She will
I'm
not
just
be there.
saying.
I'm sorry.
She did care about past lives, being a guy.
God.
Yeah, she was a guy in a past life.
Oh God!
Yeah.
As a person who is a man, but is unfortunately as a person who has an X and a Y chromosome but is phenotypically female, listening to somebody sit there and go, I'm certain that I was a man in a past life. I'm very sensitive to people who identify as male even though they're female. But the way she expressed it made me put my forehead in my palm and just shake my head. And I just felt so bad.
I identify myself as a lesbian inside of a man's body.
Actually, the way she expressed everything.
Yeah, it was just, oh, you're not doing anybody any favors, sweetie.
Yeah.
So,
I'm still awake.
And that's why we didn't make it through the entire panel.
Yeah.
That we may or may not have actually been at.
She was either a panel maker or breaker, depending on how interested you were in her personal psychoses.
I will say it was very fun to make fun of her on Twitter. And I in no way feel bad about it.
No.
Nor should you. Nor should you.
No, she is disconnected enough from reality that she does not even know what you're doing.
It is true.
Yeah,
No.
like you said earlier, she won't even if she hears this podcast, she won't realize it's about her. And
No.
that's the saddest part of it.
So what panel did y'all do next?
I think not a damn thing.
Did you do a Beast versus Bazooka?
Nope.
Adult themes and cartoons?
Yes.
Let's hear it.
It was not what I was expecting. I mean, it was enjoyable, but it was not what I was expecting. It was basically a lot of cartoon clips that had jokes that if you were a kid, you wouldn't have picked up on. If you're an adult, they're like, wow, that's kind of racy.
Was Fairly Odd Parents in there a lot?
No, they used a lot of Animaniacs.
Oh.
Particularly one scene, and I remember this scene, and I did not pick up on this, where they're having like a murder mystery thing on a boat, and Yakko tells Dot to go find Prince. The next time you see her, she's holding the artist formerly known as Prince, and Yakko says, "No, not Prince, Fingerprints." And she looks at Prince and goes, "No, I don't think so."
Oh.
And I never caught fingerprints.
Oh.
But so that's what it was basically like a lot of that and fart jokes and I mean it was
only
interesting.
adults fart.
It just wasn't necessarily. I was expecting more of a discussion than a clip show.
Well,
I mean, it was still cool.
I actually admit that that's one of the reasons that I really like Fairly Odd Parents is that Cosmo sits there and constantly makes these jokes that clearly fly over the heads of the kids, and the kids just go, "Oh, silly Cosmo, you're so random, ha ha ha." But the adults watching go, "Slow smile, I see what you did there."
I was actually surprised at how many sexual jokes there were in Animaniacs.
Yes.
I had somehow missed this when I originally watched it.
Well, you were a kid.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
didn't
true.
know.
I also caught the part of the video game voice actor Q&A, which wasn't nearly as bad as most voice actor Q&As.
That's good.
There was the inevitable, so how do, if I want to get into voice acting, how do I do that? But
I like that you texted all of us when that happened.
But it was actually
So,
pretty good.
So you heard it a lot. So how do you get into voice acting if you want to be into voice acting?
You don't.
You don't.
You just don't.
Here's what you do.
Dream crushers.
You act. If you're good, you might get some auditions somewhere. But really, it's you move out to Houston or Vancouver or L.A.
Yep.
Preferably L.A. because it's where all the work is.
Well, for the anime stuff, yeah. Well, LA for all of it. But actually, the interesting bit that came up in their discussion of that, because all three of them had musical backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
And that came up in their discussion of how to become a voice actor, is all of them articulated how their backgrounds in music actually helped them quite a bit. Like, because I can't remember any of their names, but one guy...
Jason Charles Miller?
Well, yeah, because he was the guy, he actually has a band.
Yeah.
And then the lady that was Gladys, studied as an opera singer, and her, I think, husband actually did some composing kind of. I mean, I don't think he studied music as a performer, but more as a composer. but in all those cases, they said you in studying music, you develop a really good ear. And they were just talking about how that can actually help you become a voice actor, which is kind of cool. And it gives you a lot of. I think they talked about some of the stuff. It helped with like voice control, breath control, stuff like that. But that was pretty cool.
I know that, speaking of thinking we're getting one thing, but then actually getting another.
Yes.
While the adult themes and cartoons are going on, we went to the con sociology panel. Now,
I was expecting something completely different.
I think we all were.
It was sociology, though.
It was technically
'Cause I nearly went to that.
sociology.
well, it was micro sociology, not macro.
Yeah.
Which is what I was expecting to hear about the various subcultures within fandom and how they interact in a convention setting. No.
Yeah.
That's too highbrow.
Now the trick is, well, I think that's a highbrow still enough topic that should be done at
It could be.
a convention like this.
People ain't gonna do it.
What happened was, I think that they didn't put the full title in the mini program guide that we were looking at. The actual title should have been Con Sociology, the Zen of Flirting.
Yeah, that would have been a good title for this panel. Because, like Basil, I walked in expecting this to be talking about, the different cultures that were present in fandom, how at a con those cultures mix and interact and mingle, how conventions themselves have their own hierarchy of social status.
And I'm at the top.
Yes, that's right. Podcasters have a very high ranking.
It's true.
But that's not what we got when we went to this panel. We went to this guy who gave a very good explanation of how to flirt for nerds.
It's true. Now, what it really got me was that this was in their this was in the Jackson meeting room, which features a table that's like a round table.
Yeah.
So it really felt like this is a place that we could all sit around this table and have a discussion about something, which sounded perfect for the topic I had in my brain.
Yeah.
And then it turned out to be much more of a lecture/workshop.
Yeah, we were actually really looking forward to an opportunity to talk about the Pony Girl, but
and that said,
flirted with the Pony Girl.
the guy who did this panel,
I could have.
She needs a panel.
like,
She does. She needs a panel all her own. I would go to it.
I wouldn't know.
She obviously thought she was a panelist.
well,
I'm sorry,
I have a
reality TV
feeling
show.
that I don't think that would work because I think she needs someone to railroad for her to actually work. I think if you gave her a panel by herself, she wouldn't know what to do.
Sadly, I've taken. I don't know how to feel about her because I have taken over panels myself. I have at AWA taken over artist track panels because they brought in an artist who was a good artist but didn't know a damn thing about laying out a comic book page, and so I felt I had to railroad him.
But this guy about flirting, this man knew what he was doing, and it was a good panel.
Yes,
Like
it was
while
very
it
good.
was not what we were expecting, it was not bad.
It was very insightful.
It was insightful, and while it didn't teach me anything I didn't already know, it was parsed in ways I hadn't parsed it before.
Well, it really was sociology. Like when he's talking about con sociology, it was con sociology. It's just we were thinking about the sociology of the entire convention, and he was thinking more about applications of sociology into a con setting.
Yeah.
I still like the fact that it's a flirting panel which involved getting you into a room that you felt uncomfortable with leaving.
Well, okay, it's true. What happened was, for us, was that,
that's a good
Doug,
point.
Barry, and I, we were the first ones in that room. And we sat down expecting it. And the guy comes in, he's really excited to see us there. And at the time, we were the only ones there. And he starts talking about this and that, and it's like, all right, this would be awesome. He talks to us, and we have some rapport. He was more or less flirting with us, but we didn't realize what he was doing. And he was talking to us. Well, it's cool. So people sat down, and he starts in on his topic. And he's about flirting. I'm like,
Wait a minute.
wait. what's going on? And you can't leave at that point.
Yeah, at that point you're committed.
That's how they get you.
You know, and then he was like, and this is the Zen of flirting. And I'm like, oh.
That's how people join cults.
Oh my god. And he kept looking at me the whole panel long. Every time he started talking, like, he would say, and maybe, you know, you want to avoid being the creepy guy. And then he would look at me and say, or the creepy girl.
How many girls were there in there?
Actually, it was about half and half.
Yeah.
It was about half and half. But he looked at me every single time.
Singled you out as the creepy one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you obviously would be the creepy.
Maybe he was making you feel bad so that he could make you feel better to pick you up.
Maybe that's what he was going for.
Tearing you down to build you up.
That's Twilight mentality. You need to stop that.
Now, that
Let's
would...
not talk about pants.
Well, she's a woman.
Now, Twilight, you know, would encourage heavy drinking. Which,
Let's
thankfully...
not talk about pants.
I have a perfect
That panel might have been improved by
None
heavy
of us have
drinking.
drank anything tonight.
But,
I've drunk a ton.
you know,
Yep.
speaking of drinking...
Yep.
What we went to next was the Getting Nerdy panel, and by nerdy, the KNURD.
How was that?
It was very good.
Good.
It was shit-faced.
Oh, fuck
No,
yeah.
It was like 2 beers worth, which is, I guess...
It was at
more
least
than I
3.
actually normally, oh yeah.
And what it
We
was...
didn't get a surprise extra...
Yeah, like, actually presented by the same guy who ran the flirting panel.
Yes.
Well, what happened was that the whole idea was that a guy has picked out several different types of brews of beer, and that you could taste it, and he would talk about it. There'd be a solid little discussion about each beer.
But as the night slowly drifted on, the panelist himself got a little bit more inebriated with each passing drink, and so it ended up being a general beer discussion.
But I
It was
think
cool
that,
to watch,
but I
though.
think
It was
that,
wonderful.
People knew...
It
their
was
stuff.
wonderful to participate in and to be a part of.
and I think he intends that.
Yeah.
I think that was kind of built into it. I think he knew that it was because one thing is that this is a limited seating thing.
Yeah.
Only so many people could do this because they only have so much beer, and you also have to pay $5, you know, to help cover the cost of buying all this beer. And we did luck out where the guy who ran the floating panel was like, he's also a brewer himself, and he also happened to have this really good bourbon stout
Yeah.
from
Bluegrass.
Bluegrass
Bluegrass
Brewery, and it was amazing.
It was.
And he was like, you know what, I'm here. I got this awesome thing. I'm going to go get it. And because we were taking a small break, and he comes back, and it was the last thing. But we had porters, we had not yeast.
We had
wheat.
pilsners, but we did not. We had pilsners, but he went out. The panelist went out of his way to get us a special pilsner that was not typical of pilsner. Because the truth is that Miller Lite is actually a pretty typical pilsner, and it's not that great. But he got us an extraordinary pilsner that was wonderful.
I actually went because I've only tried beer a few times, and I just haven't particularly liked it. I didn't really find anything I really liked, although I did like the bourbon barrel stout.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It was a neat experience to go to for someone who's a complete noob.
Well, the truth of the matter is that anything that gets brewed, you can be a snob about. Whether it's wine, tea, beer, coffee, if it gets brewed and it's a liquid you can drink, you can be a snob about it. And this panel was a wonderful chance to be a snob in a welcoming and friendly environment.
It's true.
Yeah.
Now, after that for us was the MomoCon party.
Yes.
Did y'all do anything else, or was that
Nope,
straight
that was
up?
it.
I did stuff.
Yeah, Charlie and I actually left to go to...
What did we do?
Well, we'll talk about the panel we went to later. If you guys want to talk about the MomoCon party.
Okay, that chronologically, the MomoCon panel started first. And apparently what GMX does is they have contests of who can throw the best room party. And I think that if you win it, you get the Saturday slot. If you don't win, I think you get the Friday slot. And the two big, contestants are the 501, the Star Wars guys, and MomoCon. And last year, MomoCon won, so I guess they got the Saturday slot. And I could be wrong on how that system works. I just know they won and they had the Saturday slot. And this year it was dinosaur themed. And it was a decked out party.
Yes, it was.
It had a totally, bar with an awesome bartender who you could tell him what you want, he'd make it. I told him I wanted something amazing. He made me something amazing.
You didn't ask for something awesome?
Well, I was going to build up to the awesome.
Oh, okay. I'm with
Like,
you.
and sometimes, you don't want just awesome, you want amazing. Or you maybe want something spectacular.
A whole thesaurus full of...
Actually, at one point, I went up to him and I said I wanted something non-alcoholic.
Did his head explode?
No, the exact opposite. He actually looked at me and said, "Oh my God, okay, sweetie, I'll get you something non-alcoholic right away." And it was actually really
It was for me, though.
Yeah, it was actually for Barry. It was a really sensitive response to my request for something non-alcoholic.
Wow.
Because I was perfectly content drinking beer all night, but...
Interestingly enough, I actually had a gentleman who was drunk beyond belief come up to me at the party because I was sitting in a wheelchair. At that point, all the people I was talking to had left. He comes down and sits next to me and tells me that in his drunken way, I gave the bartender $25 so you could drink as much as you felt you wanted to drink. Because you were in the wheelchair. And I'm a terrible person. Let me tell you how much of a terrible person I am. And I'm like, no, buddy. Just let me know on this one thing that you said. You did this, and you're cool, and let's leave it at that. Thank you. And then he passed out on the couch.
He was about to confess to some crimes.
I'm sure he was.
though?
You could have
So
nearly
hard.
solved 15 murders.
$25
To a free bar.
to a free bar.
To a free bar.
That was the first
is
part
not
I went
what you
to.
So it turns out the wheelchair is a great way to pick up guys.
That was the first part I
I
went to
actually
where I think I
insisted
knew more
that he
people than
take the
Basil.
wheelchair.
Yeah, it's
Because
true.
he was sitting there going, should I take the crutches or should I take the wheelchair? And I was actually still drunk from the beer panel going, no baby, you should take the wheelchair because that picks up more chicks.
Actually, I intentionally did not drink because of the beer panel. I was like, whoa.
And thanks to the smooth mood from the flirting panel, I flirted with these two girls on the couch all night long.
So 2 girls from the couch, how did he do?
Oh, you did excellent.
I would give it
Very
an
engaging.
A+.
Oh good. So you learned a lot.
But
We didn't go for the bonus question, but that's okay.
follow-up question: who did you end up leaving with?
Basil.
No.
Everyone leaves with Basil.
Everyone
It's true.
leaves.
Now that
He left
said,
with John.
now that said, I'll have to give John props. Like normally, I get to be like the guy everyone knows. Now this time, like John stepped it up, and everyone knew who he was.
Well, that's because, like, early on, it was just kind of us hanging around, and then the guys who were at the fighting game tournaments and from Game Galaxy, which is a local arcade around Nashville, they knew me from the tournament, and they're like, "Hey, it's Johnny 5," and we got to talking, and then the Manpower showed up, and I think I even saw Holly Ray briefly.
And Jack Sparrow did show up and
Best
caressed
Jack
Dylan's
Sparrow.
beard.
That was
Jack-
That was
amazing.
how
Creepy.
wonderful a beard it
Allow me to
was.
tell you how in character he was.
Caressed Barry's
He was
hair.
going for the exit. He was about to leave the party, and I said, "Wrong way. The rum's that way." And he turned around, and went back to the bar.
Yeah, I have to say
you were an
this.
enabler.
I have
Yeah.
to say this about GMX. I think I mentioned it to you guys at the party, but repeating it for the listeners at home here. GMX has had the best male cosplayers I have ever seen.
Agreed.
Like, there
Amen.
was a Snape walking around today who looked like he had come directly off the film and was Snape. Now, when you talk to him, when you actually tried to speak to him, he actually had a very softer, gentler voice than the actor who played Snape did. But to look at him, he looked like the same guy, and he was amazing. And then there was that Jack Sparrow that you talked about, who looked like Jack Sparrow, Jack Sparrow from the movie.
I wanted to follow him around.
Acted like Jack Sparrow. Who, when you some people would call him out as, "Hey, Johnny Depp," and he would turn around drunkenly and point to them and say, "Johnny Depp played me in a movie. I'm Jack Sparrow."
Captain.
And you would believe him for a little bit.
Yes, you would.
I even saw a really good Zach Quinto Spock.
Yes, that's what I was about to bring up. He was fantastic.
Like, he looked more Zach Quinto than Zach Quinto. Like,
yes.
it was like, I have never seen a convention where the male cosplayers just so vastly was superior.
Outclassed.
Look, when you're a male cosplayer, you either go home or you bring it all to the game.
Go big or go home.
That's that I haven't seen that many great female cosplayers.
There were a bunch of females in costumes, but the costumes were
Showing off their tits and ass.
yeah, like there was a girl dressed up as a red shirt Star Trek original series girl, but it was only like the bikini top and the little skirt, and her midriff was exposed. It was a tank top, so her arms were exposed. It was very short cut, so all of her legs were exposed. And my one comment as she passed by was, "Well, damn, if I had the body, I'd do that too." Like, it was really amazing to look at, but it wasn't really as fantastic a costume as some of the
Now the girl that played the old Roman doctor from
Was that a girl?
Yeah, that was a girl.
Oh.
That played a Roman doctor from Assassin's Creed.
Yes.
She wore that bird mask and had the whole full covering outfit on. That was brilliant.
Which, fun fact for people who don't know, that is actually what doctors wore in the Renaissance, because they discovered that if you wore that mask, it kept the plague away. Now, they thought it kept the plague away because it scared away the demons, but the truth of the matter is that it just covered their mouth and nose so well that it provided a barrier that kept them from inhaling virulent toxins.
I think the point of the beak was actually they put something that was fragrant in there because they thought smells caused plague or whatever.
But I do think it was really interesting. It was nice to see, an Assassin's Creed costume at a multi-genre convention, not an anime convention.
Yes.
Because usually you see
AWA had 15 hot Enzio chicks.
Assassin's Creed is like the new Joker.
Yeah.
At
hot
anime
Enzio girl.
And I think it's one of those things that, I think somehow the Assassin's Creed fan base and the anime fan base just happen to coincide really well. And so I think a lot of these cosplayers just happen to also go to anime cons, also play Assassin's Creed, so that's where they're going to cosplay. But it was nice to see one that at a convention that was more designed for it.
And she did really well, too. She was really amazing.
So I think y'all went to one more panel, the Con Survival.
Yes. Well, actually, I also hit Where's My Flying Car, which was a bit of a disappointment. I mean,
really?
The guys that ran it were really good, but it was another case of it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I mean, granted, now having been it, the title was apt, but I was expecting more of it being, the first part would be, these are the sort of technologies that science fiction or Weekly Reader or whatever promised us that haven't come to pass, but here's what's being developed. But really it was more just, these are the things that haven't, it was just that what I thought would be the first part of it.
Right.
Which was kind of disappointing. And then went to the Geek DIY Repurpose Your World. That was actually really cool. And what really sucks is that one of the guys that put it on, if he hadn't cut his fingertip off this morning with a carbide-bladed saw,
oh my god,
and had to spend 4 hours in Vanderbilt getting it sewn back on, he would have brought his laser.
Mm-hmm.
His laser. And do custom dog tags for people at the panel.
Wow.
I mean, there was just some really neat sort of stuff that they had made. These different groups had made. It was neat.
And you said this was connected to kind of the hacker space.
Yeah, the Hacker Consortium, Skydog Con, which is apparently a couple weeks.
That actually reminds me of the steampunk tent that was outside in the courtyard.
Mm-hmm.
What was that actually called?
It was just the steampunk pavilion, but it's like the abolishers.
Apparition Abolishers.
I've still not been to that.
Dr. Torque something.
Yeah, extraordinary.
That's it.
That was actually really neat. Obviously, the steampunk company that was working with them had a really good model artist, as they had several items on display that were like a captured mermaid and a captured chupacabra, where they had obviously a really good sculpture artist working with them. And at several points in their display, I don't know if you guys were really paying that much attention, but at several points in their display, they were talking about the problem that the steampunk fandom is facing. And that problem is that there are so many people who are, just taking apart watches and putting, like, gears on stuff and calling it steampunk.
Yeah, when you glue a couple of gears to your iPod.
That does not
Steampunk iPod.
That does not make it a steampunk iPod. And so much of their stuff was truly like steampunkish. Like you could look and you could see how, if this was theoretically powered by steam, how it would channel and how it would flow. And it made much more sense scientifically than just attaching random gears to something. And one of the points they brought up at several points in there was actually hey, don't just slap gears on stuff and call it steampunk.
Thank God someone's getting that message out there.
So, you want to finish up with Con Survival, or?
It was pretty neat.
Obviously, we only caught the first half of it.
Right.
Because we had better
Because we're
things
here.
to do.
That's right.
Like getting crunk.
Yeah.
Like getting crunk.
The crunkening.
No, we didn't get crunk.
No.
And in fact, being the sober person in a room full of drunk people is awesome.
Yeah, because they start showing your boobs, and it's like...
Really?
Must not
no.
mention.
Dinosaurs start taking their clothes off.
Must
It's weird.
not
I remember
mention
when you and Basil
names.
started making out. That was pretty amazing.
That was hot.
But the panel was actually pretty good. It was a lot of the rules they went over in it though were stuff that if you're a con goer and you're over 18, you're already aware of.
They gave away condoms.
Now I've used every one of them.
In a diorama.
Pictures will be up on chainsawbuffet.com.
Pictures will not actually be up
On condomdiorama.com.
No, they
Condomdiarrhea.com.
the Con Survival Guide, they talked about, obvious stuff like, hey, maybe it's not a good idea to, organize a room with some random stranger you met on a forum, or, bathe and stuff like that. What was really interesting about that panel was almost all of us who went into it thought that it was going to be like your 30 and older type of thing from the title.
But it was 21 and up.
Yeah, that was the kind of the goal.
I guess the most
mindset.
interesting thing about it really was that he had a decent amount, for all of his for all the different tips, he had stories of where things had gone
Yes.
very wrong. And some of those stories were pretty entertaining.
What was funny though was there was this point where we discussed we didn't discuss that. People discussed the fact that they thought this was for like actually older people like us, and there were like two other guys in the room whose submitted titles had gotten changed slightly. That
Or very, quite a bit.
yeah, that
Completely changed the meaning of the
yeah, and people didn't go to their panels because they didn't understand what it's about. But I don't know.
Well, that seems to be like Basil's mentioned that happened to AWA. That seems to be something that's kind of happening to cons in general. Is that the people who are actually putting on the panels don't seem to be having as much control over what the panels are actually being called, and so it's practically if you're going to a con, it seems like just a good rule of thumb to actually read what the panel is supposed to be about.
Yeah.
Like anyway, saying was that if you read the pocket guide, a lot of names were truncated heavily, or didn't explain things correctly. But if you read the program guide, it did wonderful jobs of explaining everything.
In this case, it sounded like they were either one of them was like sports fanatics versus geeks, and how the two cultures, compare and contrast.
But they called it Family Feud, which makes you think of the game show.
Yeah, I think they were trying to punch up the title and make it sound like cooler.
Make it sound like something you wanted to go to.
Yeah, and in fact, it confused people. And the other one was something about geek sports, like airsoft and stuff like that. Oh. And I think they were trying to clarify it. And in a way, something about, they mentioned reenactments and LARPing.
And a bunch of LARPers show up to an airsoft panel.
I don't know. That was just interesting because it they got finished with their main presentation early, and it just kind of became this discussion.
But that said, GMX, it's a fun time. You should go.
I've had a really good time. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if the biggest problem is fix those titles, then, doing good. Or parking. Parking would be good. It's not really their fault, but...
I hope your car is still there tomorrow.
Me too.
They're towing. I've seen it on Twitter.
I actually got really frustrated when we first...
You should probably go out after this and move your car.
I actually got really frustrated.
We've got any spaces left.
When we first came in at noon today, I was really upset because Barry was in a wheelchair. I was carrying all of our stuff. Basil couldn't get a hold of the person who was in charge of the British track that was in charge of rescheduling my panel. And then to top it all off, the hotel didn't have any rooms for us. People hadn't checked out and they hadn't cleaned up the rooms yet. And so I was left carrying all this stuff, not knowing when my panel was, about to freak out. But actually the hotel staff was really cordial and was really helpful in getting me calmed down and taking care of my stuff until they had a room cleared up for me, and Basil was able to find, the person in charge of the track. So it all worked out, but that was the one complaint that I had from the entire weekend, and that's actually a really minuscule complaint.
So yeah, GMX. Go to it.
It's bitchin'.
Do it. It's awesome.
Now.
Yes, go back in time and go to GMX.
Mm-hmm. Why aren't you there yet?
Yeah, it should be even crazier attendance numbers. Maybe that's why we had problems getting parking spaces.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good job,
you guys
people.
came back from the future into the past to go to GMX because it was this awesome.
And obviously you found out, and you also know what to go to. Because we just told you what we went to, and that's always what you wanted to go to. Because you wanted to see Crazy Girl be crazy for yourself.
Oh, man. I'm actually looking forward to seeing her at other conventions.
Man, let me tell you, MTech Toku panel, oh man, it's going to be crazy. Off the chain. But speaking of being off the chain, thank y'all guys for showing up.
Yeah.
And we're out.